Very much, Mr Efford, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I'd like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Dudley, for securing this really important debate, and thank her for bringing her professional expertise to the floor of the House, and also my honourable friend, the member for Morecambe and Lonsdale, who shows that she can think on the spot and turn an intervention into a short speech. Mr Efford, it's important that we acknowledge just how significant the impact of multiskeletal conditions can be on both individuals and on their loved ones. Poor MSK health can severely impact every aspect of a person's life and also has a significant impact on the NHS and on the wider economy. Pain, stiffness and limited movement all affect quality of life and independence, including the ability to work. MSK conditions are the leading cause of years lived with disability in England. They are responsible for up to 30% of GP consultations, and MSK community services have the longest waiting lists of all community services in England as of September this year. MSK conditions are also one of the leading causes of sickness absence, with approximately 23.4 million working days lost due to MSK conditions in 2022 in the UK. So that is why this government is committed to improving care for the 17 million people living with MSK conditions in England and ensuring that they receive support and access to the latest treatments. Improving health and work outcomes for people living with MSK conditions also forms a key part of the government's missions to build an NHS fit for the future and to kickstart economic growth. So turning first, Mr Efford, to the health mission. My department recently announced plans to develop a 10-year NHS plan. This will consider what actions are needed to improve patient access and to reduce waiting times. It will set out a bold agenda to deliver the three big shifts needed to move healthcare from the hospital to the community, from analogue to digital, and from treatment to prevention. Now, we recognise that there is much more we can do to support earlier diagnosis and management for people with MSK conditions and the need for timely and comprehensive care that starts at home. We know that many people with MSK conditions can be diagnosed and well managed in the community, and that's why we are making a start by exploring how best to support MSK primary and community service improvement, helping to give MSK conditions greater parity with other conditions. And Mr Efford, I will certainly take away my honourable friend's suggestions on physiotherapists, on AHPs more generally, and many of the other points that she's raised, as I think that they could play a vital and important role in getting the better outcomes that we want to see. And on, in one area, children, she speaks rightly about how we deal with children. This government wants to create the healthiest generation of children ever, and we have to ensure that we have the services, Mr Efford, to be able to diagnose bone conditions at an earlier stage and get children in the appropriate treatment that they may need. She also talks about difficult to reach communities. I have a row with my officials, Mr Efford, because I do not accept that any community is difficult to reach. We've just not tried hard enough. And it's precisely the kind of suggestions that she has set out as to how, on a whole range of health conditions, including MSK, that we need to do better at identifying where those people are, where those health inequalities are, and getting both the access to the services into the places where those people are, so we can get them on to the treatment pathways that we need to. Mr Efford, with NHS England, we are considering a range of options to identify the most effective ways of improving the quality of and access to the fracture liaison service model and the interventions that that model then provides. For MSK conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, early diagnosis is key to preventing joint damage and to improving quality of life. The government is investing £1.5 billion in capital funding in 2025-26 for new surgical hubs and diagnostic scanners to build capacity for over 30,000 additional procedures and over 1.25 million diagnostic tests as they come online. Now, turning to the growth mission, the Get Britain Working White Paper highlighted the issue of spiralling economic activity, with 2.8 million people, that's the population of Greater Manchester incidentally, locked out of work due to long-term sickness. Tackling economic inactivity caused by ill health will play an important part in reaching our ambition to achieve an 80% employment rate. To support this ambition, further Faster 20 will be delivered by the NHS England Getting It Right First Time programme. Further Faster 20 will operate in 20 areas of the country with high levels of economic inactivity, with the aim of reducing waiting times and enabling people to return to work. Actions will include improving secondary care interfaces with primary and community services. We will also launch a set of place-based trailblazers in 8 areas in England and Wales to run during 2025-26. The trailblazers will be at the forefront of developing joined-up approaches to support with work, health and skills. 3 of the trailblazer areas will be funded to become health and growth accelerator sites to build evidence of the impact of targeted action on the top health conditions driving economic inactivity, and I can assure the House that includes MSK conditions. I also want to say to my honourable friend, the member for Dudley, I am more than happy to meet with her to talk about these issues. I am more than happy if we can squeeze it somewhere in my diary to come and visit the fracture liaison services in her area. And I want to also reassure my honourable friend, the member for Morecambe and Lonsdale, that we take very seriously the impact of MSK conditions on the NHS workforce itself, and as part of our workforce planning, we need to get better at identifying those who are NHS employees who have MSK conditions and ensure that we have the appropriate support for them so that they can carry on working in our health and care systems as well. To conclude, I once again would like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Dudley, for securing this important debate. I hope she's reassured by some of the measures I've outlined today. I also will take on board the very important points that I think she's raised at how we can do better in these areas and ensure that they are fed back through my team to those that are working up our policies on fracture liaison and on MSK more generally. I hope that she recognises that this is a priority for this government. I recognise we must go further, absolutely. But today, I would just like to close by reaffirming this government's commitment to support the millions of people in the UK who are living with an MSK condition to ensure that they get the support they need, including improved diagnosis and management, that we drive down those waiting times and waiting lists, that we identify conditions earlier, that we get people into treatment as quickly as possible, and that we have that happier, healthier, more prosperous country that we've all been elected to this place to help deliver as a consequence of having a healthier, happier workforce and a healthier and happier population. Thank you, Mr Efford.